Cause we always do the most. Hey, I apologize for my tardiness.
You're okay.
Brennan is not coming today.
Okay, perfect.
But that shit is good on this surface. Hold on real quick. I gotta get a charger. Old street dog. Where the 40 did you know me? Imagine if I never met the broskies. God's plan. God's plan. All right, we're back. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
We're seasoned vets.
Mm-hmm.
You're a young media tycoon. Just so you know, after the interview yesterday, in the ride home, I just was bawling my eyes out. So thanks.
That was the goal.
You're like, what do you really think about all your ambitions and goals? Don't you think you're a little shallow, man? I thought it was great. I thought you did a great job.
Thank you. I'm glad it worked out.
I think it's a good format for you.
I hope so.
Those are hard to come by nowadays, those face to face.
They are. I haven't done a face-to-face interview in a long time.
I know. Let's figure that out. Get in the studio back. Box a little high. Slightly. Clean it up. Box is high. Back. Nice. Oh! All right, move to go. It's incredibly windy today, huh?
It is. Yeah, I just got my COVID test. It's not very nice out.
You got a COVID test?
Yeah, I have to get tested through the school still.
Even though you're in the vaccination process?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's quite interesting.
Yeah, they don't want to take the 5% chance that you'll spread it on campus. So everyone still has to do it.
All right, Big Harry is here.
Okay, perfect.
Let's rip it.
Hey, Connor, how are you?
Harry, big handsome, how are you, man?
Good.
I'm
Doing great. Oh, I like your golden deer behind you.
We're both branding guys, right?
Love
Marketing.
it. Yeah, it looks like it's growing right out of your left shoulder. I got to find something to.
I know. There's no municipal mascot.
No, I got this guy here though. Maybe this will work. This is the everything is fine dog on the burning house meme. If that rings a bell to you.
I'm actually unfamiliar. Can you elaborate?
What? How do you not know that one?
The
Come
burning house meme.
on.
Hold on. Let me hit record real quick. And also,
Okay.
on the phone, I have one of our producers, Lexi Matthews. Lexi,
Okay.
say what's up to Harry.
Hey, Harry.
Hey, Lexi, do you not know the everything is fine meme that was like pretty famous a couple years ago?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. See, Connor's the one that needs to.
Okay, don't make me feel like a caveman.
Exactly. Here, I'm gonna put the link on here right for you.
Sweet.
I have that. I have the.
The everything is fine meme. I'm totally.
Yeah. It's pretty dark.
So has that been essential for levity in a lot of situations?
Well, no, I think I wonder if you have had this happen over the last year, is to get through the the pandemic. I've had a lot of like just very strange purchases that were pretty much impulse buys. That's one of them. So I don't know how that I somebody sent that to me or like, hey, this is cool. And I was like, oh, I want that. I got it.
Now, what else besides the everything is fine dog have you purchased?
All kind of shit.
Like what?
All kinds of shit.
How has your have you totally shifted to becoming one of those guys who buys everything via e-commerce now?
When was the last time you walked into a retail store? I mean, other than like a grocery store.
There's a supplement store I go to consistently.
We're gonna count that as in the grocery category.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, I can't even remember the last time I walked into an actual store. It had to have been. I mean, it's definitely before last March, so over a year. So yes, I'm. Everything I buy is definitely online. Absolutely, except for groceries.
Well, hey, before we move on, man, thank you for doing this.
My pleasure. That was a long sip of water.
I know. I was going to say Aqua Hydrate. Is that Diddy's company?
That's Mark Wahlberg's company.
Oh, no way. I should know my stuff.
Yeah.
So is Municipal littered with Aqua Hydrate bottles?
Well, we are socially responsible. So I would say that we have the giant ones. This one I refill out of the giant bottle, just because the giant bottle is like literally like 5 gallons. So that'd be obnoxious to drink like a 5-gallon bottle. So this is my single serving. You must stay hydrated with Aqua Hydrate.
I agree. Now, before we move on, can you give a quick synopsis of who you are and what you do for anyone listening?
Is anyone listening? Is that what you're asking? Is anyone listening? We just have to assume they are. Harry Arnett. I'm the CEO of MUNICIPAL, and we've been around for about 7 months. We are, in fact, a startup, and we mentioned Mark Wahlberg earlier. He's one of the co-founders with me and Stephen Levinson, and we are set out to make everyone look and feel great. That's pretty much what we're trying to do, and feel unstoppable.
And
that's our goal.
And from what I gathered from our last conversation, the goal of the brand essentially is to kind of create a hybrid for the athlete, the business person, and also people just in their day-to-day lives, correct?
Yeah, we thought that brands were really good at selling stuff to people, but we felt like we had a higher calling, as we really wanted to arm people, educate people, and engage folks to become better humans through intentional action. And that's an abstraction, what I just said. So we really wanted to make it extremely concrete with people, both through example, through content, and how we like to brand, and giving hardcore how-tos on career and health and wellness, relationship, etc. That's how we wanted our brand to. That's what we wanted the purpose of our brand to be. All in the spirit of what I described as helping people get momentum and action in their life with purpose in order to become the best version of themselves. To achieve their full potential. And we felt like a lot of brands were pretty good storytellers, or could create media. A lot of media brands could do that. And there were some good brands that were making stuff, which, we think we make the best apparel and gear in the world. But no brand did both of those things. And with Mark's, where Mark is in his life and where I am and where Lev is, we really felt like we had an opportunity to do something pretty different and at least change the trajectory of what the athleisure category was doing, which seemed to be like very specific to us. And it's funny, a lot of categories do this. The more they start to mature, the more fragmented they get. And all these little brands were so specific around one element. We really felt like there was an opportunity to come in and do something different and take the category to a better place. So those are small goals, Conor. But we really feel like
big goals, man. That's
why we're here. Yeah, exactly. Go big or go home.
Absolutely. Now, just touching on what you said real quick, in terms of like, you want your brand direction, you want to help people capitalize on momentum. Can you kind of speak to how that's been beneficial in your career and like the idea of momentum? Because I recently, in everything we do in Boston, I've noticed it's just crucial to growth, momentum.
Yeah. I mean, I take it from me. I mean, there have been so many moments in my life and career where I've hit these periods of feeling stuck. And looking back on it, the times when I've been able to get back into places of creativity and really hopefulness and positivity were really the catalyst to get in motion in a direction towards what the ultimate vision was. And I think for me personally, when I was stuck, it was always at times when I was looking for like the perfect path or the perfect step, or in some cases, the ones that had the most probability for success. So like risk aversion, or not really putting myself out there to play bigger for whatever reasons. Usually these obstacles are self-made. They're man-made. We put them in place. They're always a lot bigger than we make them out to be, a lot bigger than they are. And the key is, you got to just, whatever it is, you got to just take one step forward, one step forward. And this really started to resonate even for me, like over the past year, when these times when, you'd wake up and there wasn't a lot of hope out there, frankly. And some days momentum meant, let me shave my face. I mean, honestly, like
it was that bad.
Stupid and granular as that, It
was not that bad.
Yeah, let me just check off a couple of things to get myself in motion, so that I don't shell up and am in completely static. And that's really a major part of what we're trying to convey to people out there, is put yourself into a routine that allows you to be successful and to begin your journey towards whatever it is you're trying to achieve. And so many people out there, ourselves included, have these times, if you look back, where we've been stuck for periods of time. And the key is, don't be stuck for long periods of time. We all get stuck, but get out of the rut of your own tire marks and get going. And I think now is like totally relevant. We're starting to get a little bit of hope and positivity that this period of quarantine and coronavirus is starting to look like it's going to be moving more in the rear view, that we're learning to live with it instead of shy away from it. And there are a lot of people, I think, out there that need some direction and a little push on how to get out.
Well, dude, I was just out in Los Angeles and COVID seemed super optional. Like probably 70%.
Depending where you go, right?
I know. And well, it was kind of nice. It was, people were happy to be outside, and it was like, damn,
Yeah.
the world's going to be like this again. It's going to be sweet.
I'm happy to hear that.
Yeah. Now, in terms of making lists as a CEO and an operator of a startup, is that how you kind of segment your day? Do you have a to-do list every day? Like, okay, these are the most necessary things to move the brand forward today. Is that kind of how you do your thing?
Yeah, I'm not a big list person. I live with the ultimate list taker. My wife she'll have 30 things on her list and she will not put her head down on the pillow till they're all done. I'm not the same way. I kind of bucket it around what are the things we need to be doing right this second, and what are the things that we need to be doing that will create long-term value. So there's really no in between. I don't have like a midterm approach, frankly, to what we're up to. And early on, there were a lot of very tactical, concrete things just to set the business up. So yeah, a lot of those days were spent. Do we have a payroll system? Do we have insurance? Like those are very typical list of stuff that you do on when you're trying to set anything up from scratch, especially no scale brand. And that's overwhelming because there are 1,000 things you have to do. As a matter of fact, I remember, I probably have it somewhere on my computer, that first month or two that we were getting set up, I had a list in Excel, which I'm sure there's some project manager out there and say, get off Excel, dude, get on to something better than that. But on Excel, and it was over 100 things that we had to do over, the first 2 months to get going. And then I also have a look at what are the 3 or 4 things that we need to be doing over the course of this year to keep ourselves moving in the trajectory that we need to be doing. So it's a good balance. It's a good balance of like day-to-day survival and what are the things that are coming that ultimately will make us a successful, sustainable business.
So you kind of just really operate on the fly every day and just kind of hope you head towards those governing goals.
It's not exactly like that.
This guy's a cowboy, man.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we just kind of wake up and see which way the wind's blowing. It's not like that. I mean, we definitely have a business plan, but the thing I think that was really different for me coming from an established larger company with an annual business plan and a 3-year plan is all of that is kind of silly in a startup because we operate on like 13-week increments. So our long range planning where we spend time on might get us to the end of the year and beyond. So I try to keep at least the team focused on what are the things that we've got to be doing over these 13 weeks to hit our financial goals and our brand goals and our cash position and the things that are really important for a small startup versus the kind of the long-term planning that you might do in a bigger place where you would say, oh, in year 3, we're going to have a 30% compound annual growth rate. And these are the investments we're going to make in people and equipment and brand and all that. And it's kind of silly when you're in a startup because it's so dynamic. We could grow 30% in a week, or we have a bad week, we could go backwards, 10 or 15%. So it's all about just really like sticking to the knitting on a day-to-day basis. So that requires a lot of coordination, a lot of communication, a ton of flexibility among not just me, but the team to look at, are the things we're doing, the things that we did last week, are they working? Are they not working? Or is it undetermined? And then let's move forward because it's incredibly dynamic. It's really sensitive to consumer movements that are happening, particularly with our business model where we're totally direct to consumer, that it's so sensitive to traffic and conversion and things like that planning 6-8 months out is like, how can you even do that? How do you even know what your traffic's going to be in 8 months? I mean, it's silly.
Can I ask you a quick question, man? why we're running the podcast, right?
Yes.
Were you kind of sick of the rigidity of working in a big company? Like, did you just kind of want that rush of working in a chaotic situation? Is that kind of why you made the shift?
Well, that was part of it. I think I've always had the yearning to do something new and start something from scratch, just on a basic level. And I also had a real keen pull to do a brand that was really organic and of the people, if you will. My kind of brand passion is and has been, and this was the way that I managed, particularly the last stop that I had when managing a big brand in a sports performance category.
For those listening, Harry used to work at Callaway Golf.
At Callaway, yeah. So we were, that was a totally different experience. We had 100% brand awareness in our category. Isn't that nice? So in a big category, an established brand, and the thing that I loved about that whole experience was as a sales and marketing person is we were trying to make a aspirational premium performance brand also incredibly accessible. So we were trying to marry up two things that usually work in conflict with one another, or they don't really go together. Usually if you have a premium performance brand, most kind of traditional ways of managing that brand is to kind of move into a luxury place, which by design has a high degree of exclusivity to it. And that's how you resonate, or you drive the aspirational part of it. So if you think of any luxury brand, Rolex or Porsche or Mercedes, they're trying to show you that there's a level of prestige that comes with that kind of brand that's not available to just the rank and file. And so I was always interested and have been interested in using media communications, tone and manner, activations that squared up something being really aspirational, but also accessible at the same time. And that fueled our success at Callaway. So I've always had that I'm trying very hard not to use the word democratize, because I don't want to punch myself in the face for using it. But I've always had.
I don't know what that word. I don't know what that word means, so don't use it.
Good. Don't punch me in the face. So I had that in my head, and as a passion before we started this. And then the other thing that's nice is having a full plane, wide open plane in front of you to go in any direction you want. And that's scary too, because there's really no guardrails when you start something from scratch. So you have to really challenge all the things that you hope are true about yourself and about the people that you put on the team, to have the fortitude and the confidence and the teamwork and the culture that's going to survive the really moving through like the fog of the unknown when you're starting something new. So all of that appealed to me. And
you wanted to live on the wild side, man. That's what you wanted.
A little bit, but you know what? I mean, as we've gotten into it, there's certainly things that you never expect when you get into it, and you really don't know what you've got until you're challenged, right? I mean, anybody can smile and maintain their positivity and be creative when times are going great. It's really what separates what's core and what's not so core when you're under a ton of stress and there's a lot of unknown, and you really have to rely on what's essentially true about yourself and what's essentially true about your capabilities as a leader. So I wasn't quite anticipating that was going to come in, 5 months after we moved in and started the business with the
dude. But your heart's still beating, man.
Still here. Thank you for noticing.
You're still
Still
selling
alive,
clothes,
still
right?
kicking, and it's been everything that we were hoping that it would be. It's just, it's moved in a much different place. We've definitely had to to pivot off of a lot of what our early plans were, and that was something that we knew was probably going to happen, but we didn't know how that was going to manifest itself. But here we are, 1 year into launching a business right in the middle of the pandemic, and I think that we're really excited for where we are, and we're particularly excited that we're still around. So that's good.
Absolutely. I mean, survival in the first year of business is usually the goal for most people, right?
Yes. I mean, the percentage as well as I do. So many companies fail under the best of circumstances in their first year. And here we are more than a year in, having, launched, like I said, and tried to get the business going during really an event that none of us have ever had to go through.
Now, Harry, let me ask you this. When we were speaking on the phone, you talked vividly about COVID starts, your primary investor pulls the funds out, that bank account is gone. You have to make the decision, should I go back to Calway and beg for my old job, or should I keep this thing going? Correct?
Yeah.
Now, can you kind of talk about the decision where you dipped into your own account to keep this thing alive and keep that heart beating?
Yeah, well, it all happened so quickly. If going back to March of 2020, and I don't think any of us really knew what the COVID and the pandemic would mean for America. We had heard, starting really in like December, from some of the folks that we knew overseas in our supply chain, that this was really different from other things that impacted their businesses, and those kinds of things. When you're talking about
the look on your face, you must have been terrified when this started.
Well, it's hard to dimensionalize that, and it's hard to even fathom it because we had nothing to compare it to. So, when we would talk to our folks overseas that were either in China, whether they were selling components to us or part of our factory base that we're making, a few of our products over there, or the ones that were in Thailand that are adjacent, or at least in Asia. And they've seen all kinds of things that have disrupted the supply chain. And you factor that in when you build out your plan, that you always have contingencies for whatever's going to pop up in your supply chain. You can move stuff around if you have to, or timing or dates or whatever. And you also, even for us as a startup, we'd had built in some redundancy and overlap in case something happens, anywhere. And we had a large part of our supply base was here in the US. We had a pretty large chunk of our products are made in America. And we started to hear in like December, January, guys, this is like different. This is different. The governments over here are in full-fledged panic mode. And
I just can't even.
If I was on Jeopardy, I would not do well on Chinese geography question, but I would not, if there were 3 of us on the panel, I wouldn't come in last. So I know enough to be dangerous. And I know like the Wuhan province is like a gigantic place. And when they were talking about, they shut the whole city and region down. Okay, so like us over here, when we heard that, we're like, okay, what does that even mean? I don't even know what that is. Is that like a village?
We thought like a farmer's market was shut
right,
down.
Exactly. Did they shut down a street? Like, what is that? And having been over there and knowing enough and talking to them, was like, no, that's like saying they shut the entire eastern part of the United States down.
Oh, you've been
down, like done. So we were like, that's a little different from what we've normally heard. And when, usually stuff happens, it could be anything, a strike or, look at what just is in the news recently. A boat gets stuck in the Suez Canal And that's gonna screw up supply chains for a lot of companies. It got stuck for 6 days. It's probably gonna screw them up for a month or 6 weeks, or depending on what was on that ship, more than that. So we're used to that kind of stuff. But when they were saying, yeah, we don't even know if we're going to be allowed back at work for at least 60 days. We knew that was weird. But we have the US, we have enough to be able to overcome even pushing out some of that kind of supply for 6 weeks. And then I think
what you mean is you were manufacturing products in the US.
Yeah, we had stuff coming in the US, and we'll just change the way we're going to launch. Obviously that's going to be affected. We're going to push out our launch. Let's push it out a month. So instead of launching in May, we'll launch in early June. No big deal. That's not going to make a material effect on our business, particularly at that point, we weren't, exactly investing a ton into anything. So we were able to constrain our cash for a month. No problem. I think the biggest thing that affected me when I knew, this is a big deal, is when they shut sports down, like that second week of March. Do you remember that?
Yeah, that's what you're saying.
And like
when they shut March
the tournament got canceled. We're out here in the West Coast, so like Pac-12 tournament got canceled. There was a big golf tournament that same week. They played one round and then they sent everyone home. They're like, we're done. And having been in golf, I talked to a lot of people that worked at the PGA Tour, and they were telling me, we don't know when we're going to be back. Because they were getting briefings from the government. Municipal was not getting briefings from the government. So they knew this was a big deal. And so we were like, holy shit, this is significant. And school started, our kids, high school and middle school got shut down. And we were just thinking at that time, okay, well, maybe we'll be out for a couple of weeks or a month, but who knows? Like, I don't think we certainly weren't thinking here we'd be a year later. But the ramifications of that were our funding was through a really large family fund. We were the only startup that was in their entire portfolio. The rest of their business were ongoing operational businesses. So they had to prioritize where their cash was going. And, unfortunately the startup was not prioritized. So they had to pull our funding immediately. And so that was like the coldest of cold water showers that you can possibly imagine. And I remember the conversation with the a really good guy and a really good friend who managed the fund. And he just was as blunt as it can be, is we're not going to be able to fund you. And, at that time he said, we won't know. We're not going to be able to fund you for the foreseeable future, but maybe we can come back in like 90 days and see where we are. And that would have been
dude. You're like, oh my God.
I don't know what that means. Oh, okay. So you're saying there's a chance. So Mark and Steve Levinson and I sat down, we looked at the numbers, we came up with really a plan that would have us funding it ourselves, at least through the launch period and through the year, so that we could have a better idea of what it would take to get the business sustainable. And we felt like we had done the hard part. We had gotten the thing set up. We had designed and developed the products. They were on their way, although affected by the supply chain. And we really, our best play was to get this thing to market, to launch it. It would obviously be different because we would have to be, our belts would have to be, really tight like everyone else's would be. And let's get it launched. And so that's what we decided. And it was, at that time, I was not anticipating literally having to invest my entire life savings and my wife's, our family's life savings into municipal. But we felt like that was a really good bet. That was the ultimate manifestation of what
That's
is one of our
swag.
core values here at municipal, which is always bet on yourself. And so we did in a massive way.
Harry, let
And,
me tell you. So right now I've been producing a film in Boston. It's always been my goal with the podcast to make a big ass movie and put it in theaters all over the city. And so I'm in a position right now where I'm going to have to cut the check for VFX.
How about that?
And it's scary. It's scary.
Yeah.
But let's just send it, right, man? Why not?
Yeah. Bet on yourself. Always bet on yourself. I mean, that was really going back.
It's a different challenge for you though, because this is just my account. You have a family.
Yeah, well, it can't, it's not my decision. It's everyone's decision. And I think that's the big relationship advice that I can tell everybody is make sure you marry well. And I sure did. My wife is really close to it. And she's like, well, we're betting on ourselves. And what a better way to invest than one that you can directly control the outcome. So we decided to do it. And also the other thing I think just from our core values is we had at that time 13 people who all of them were mostly people that I have worked with in the past that came over here as part of
Shout out to Rihanna.
Part of the family. Yeah. Rihanna and AJ and Dave and David and the whole Kim, the whole group were people that I had worked with in the past and felt like a real obligation to, that's the obligation you have as an owner that you never really have if you're working for somebody else, is you have a real obligation to the people that are a part of your team. And so we figured out a way to make it happen. That May launch that became June really became August. So all of that was 3 months, and August was really September because we didn't really have all of our products. And then what we thought would be the saving grace, Conor, which was we have this big piece of our product line is made in America. That became the most affected one of all because our factories that were making stuff for us in America were shut down almost 3 full months.
Because of like a COVID outbreak or something?
Because of COVID, yeah.
So where's the other product coming from? It's Thailand and China, right?
I missed the question. Say that again.
Where's the other product coming from? It's China.
Yeah, we have China, Thailand, US, some South America. So we're kind of all over the place. That was something that we knew would be important so glad we did that. We knew would be important for a supply chain is we have to have some diversity in our supply chain in case something happens. This was when we first were setting the business up. We didn't know there was a coronavirus, but we knew stuff happens all the time. And anything that happens in the supply chain, if it's not that diverse, can knock you out before you even get started. So we had set it up to be diverse out of the gate. And I'm really glad we did because like I said, the US part of that was the most affected of all.
No, 2 things. One, your wife is what the kids would call a real one.
She's a real one.
Your wife's a real one. And
yeah,
2,
she really was. She's the most. We talked about it. She's a list person. She's incredibly practical.
How long have you guys been together?
20 years.
No, that's commitment. Man.
Yeah. So that's something I've really learned from her and it really helped during particularly last year of the crisis is every problem has a solution. And we really looked at all the challenges that happened, even the stuff that was way outside of our control at a macro level that we couldn't even comprehend. But there was a micro solution that existed if we spent the time kind of looking at all the factors and all the variables and prioritize properly. And that was in some ways it was hard emotionally, but in some ways it was pretty easy to prioritize what the important things were that we wanted to focus on when everything shut down a year ago in March. And number one for us was the health and safety of the employees. So that was number one. That's easy. We're not going to do anything that jeopardizes anyone's health and safety that's an employee here. And number two, which was 1A, was we want to keep everyone employed. And that was something that was, frankly, I would say not convenient, because everybody that I talk to in my kind of mentor network, now these are people that run big companies or are on boards of large companies or run large divisions. They all said the same exact thing, which was, you don't know what the future is going to be. And there are two things you need to do. You need to manage your cash, and you need to protect your revenues. Well, we didn't have any revenues, so we had to protect our cash. And the thing they all said was, you have to lay people off. You have to lay people off all the way down to only the people that are required to keep your lights on. And because two things: number one, your cash will require it, because you don't know when you're going to launch. You don't know when your revenues are going to come. You don't know what the world's going to look like. And you can't be spending all that cash in that environment. And number two, those people are going to need the unemployment. So you get them on the unemployment, and then you'll figure it out when you know more about what the future is. And I think a lot of companies did that. You saw furloughs and layoffs and stuff all over the place. And like I said before, we decided not to do that. We decided, no, we're going to stay with it. And probably that was a little easier having 14 people than maybe it is if you have 14,000. But those were kind of the two things. So health and safety of our people, we want to keep them employed. And then the third thing that we decided was, we have to pick a date to launch this brand, because we need to, at some point, start to sell some things. So
there's real
products don't do us any good sitting in our warehouse. So that challenged how we were going to launch it. And we had to launch it in a much different way than any of us wanted to. You certainly wouldn't write a book on, this is the perfect way to launch a product. As soon as it hits your warehouse, turn it around and sell it, particularly when you're launching a business. So we had planned, Conor, to launch our full municipal concept sport utility gear with 16 products. We ended up launching with 6, and with stuff kind of flowing in sporadically through the back half of the summer and into early fall, so that by the time October rolled around, we were really where we wanted to be in May. So we lost 6 months of execution time. But as we said 20 minutes ago, we're still here.
2 questions for you. One, so this is new to me. So when you started Municipal, you wanted to have manufacturers in different countries specifically in case something domestically happened in each company, you had a backup. Is that the rationale? I had never heard of that. Why wouldn't your rationale be, we would just have 7 different plants in the US?
Well, it's the US is good at some things in apparel and not great at others. Some of the things that you lose when you're in America
is expensive, right?
Well, it is expensive. And the reason is because the supply base is small, and the capabilities that exist in the US as high performance creators of apparel and accessories, most of those capabilities left the country 40 or 50 years ago. So
China,
that industry left, they just don't have the capability. So there are some things that you can do here, but other things are much better. Other countries and regions of the world are much better at it. And because of technology, and it's to the consumer, the cost to the consumer is a lot lower, even with some of the tariffs and transportation in other parts of the world. It's just the apparel part of in the US is not competitive.
Okay, I hear
frankly.
you.
But we loved having a segment or a chunk of our products made here in the U.S. We really loved that, and for a lot of reasons. There were some here right on the West Coast that were near us that that we knew about, that we felt like we wanted to have relationships with, and so that was always a piece of what we were going to do. But we knew to be able to grow and to be positioned the way that we wanted to position, that we needed to be more diverse.
Here, let me ask you another question, man. One, where are you from?
I grew up in Atlanta, Georgia.
No way. Are you
Yep.
are you like an Atlanta sports fan?
Don't even start with me, Conor, because I know you're in Boston, and I know what's coming up, since it was March 28th, a couple days
was gonna
ago.
say
And I
that-
got the 328. I got the 328 memes flowing. Yeah,
You know,
I'm a sad Atlanta sports fan.
I've had a couple of the young men who obliterated the Falcons on this podcast. And yeah, man, that was a tough look for you guys, man. For real.
I was at that game, so don't even start. Don't even start. Which actually, I went with my wife. It was the very first year. My wife's not from Atlanta, so it was the very first year that after, however long we were together, 16, 17 years at that point, she decided to be a Falcons fan. So of course, that first year, she's thinking, "Hey, this is great. Why are you so miserable all the time? This has been fun." And so we end up going to the game. Of course, we went to the game. Why wouldn't we? We got to go to the game. We got to spend all that money to go to the game. And I'm glad that I did, actually, because I'm just thinking, how would I have reacted at home watching this? At least at the game, there was, at least I have a story to tell. But at home, man. So yeah, I'm still licking my wounds over that. As all Atlanta fans are. We're just, it's, for me, it's 50 years of being beaten down by this stuff, same stuff. So I wasn't surprised.
I thought, or I could be, I'm not huge into the MLB. I thought the Braves had a pretty successful season recently, didn't they? Or
yeah, well, it's classic Atlanta sports for you. So the only major sport title that Atlanta has won, and if you count MLS, you could say they've won two, because they won the MLS Cup a couple years ago.
Come on, man.
I'll leave that to others to decide if that's amazing. And I'm a soccer fan, so I'll leave that to other people to decide. But it was 95, the Braves won the World Series. And the last few years, they've had a really good team, a really good young team. And then in the fall, they were up 3-1, 3-1 over the Dodgers, and somehow they didn't win that series. So that's the way it goes. That's the way it goes.
You guys are a bunch of losers,
But
man.
I just told you that. You learn so much more through adversity and hard times than
Adversity is awesome if you win.
So
events.
if that being true, we're the most educated fans there can be, because we've learned so much over the years.
Nah, man, that's got to be the Jets fans.
Yeah, true. Good point.
At
least they've won a Super Bowl, not in anyone's lifetime, but at least they won it in when, 69?
Dude,
Falcons never won a Super Bowl.
Were you even alive in 69, man? Like, come on, man.
I was not alive in 69. That's what I'm saying. Most people weren't, but at least they can say the franchise has won one.
Now, question for you, dude. How much? So I am self-admittedly an incredible admirer of Mark Wahlberg's career.
Yeah.
Because he's been able to both star in and produce his own projects. And then he also has a successful business career. Now, how much of your brand has been leveraged off his Instagram alone? Because I think that's probably where I got hip to Municipal in the first place.
Yeah, somewhat, but we were also all aligned at the beginning that we didn't want this to just, and Mark himself, he didn't want this to just be viewed as a celebrity brand, or he is not a dilettante. So he didn't want people to just look at.
What does that mean?
He didn't want people to think he was just dabbling in creating an apparel brand, or doing this for fun, or doing this as a pastime or a hobby. His business passions are deep. So when he gets involved in something, he wants to do it in the right way. He wants to do it in a way that's going to be enduring and sustainable and lasting. And so we definitely have have relied on him heavily to be our biggest megaphone, but we haven't built the brand thinking that we wanted to take shortcuts by virtue of having him as one of our co-founders and owners and involved. That we absolutely wanted to take the long view of this. So, and also more about the values that Mark stands for, I think is what you were talking about that probably resonate with you, Conor, a lot more than just the image of him or what people see of him as some avatar versus what's core to him. And that's what we really wanted for Municipal, was all about the things that are true and core to his success and the way he operates his life. Number one being completely self-made
right?
person, a completely self-made guy. He's the youngest of 9, grew up in Boston. No one would have bet on him. No one would have bet on him. That's not to say he hasn't had help along the way, whether it's his brother Donnie that's kind of gave him a push into music, or certainly as he crossed over from music and hip hop into acting and more broad entertainment, the people that obviously you have to have a great team around you and to celebrate that. And but more so than that, having the foundation and the core belief, self-belief and hustle and character, and having that feeling of positivity and being unstoppable. Those are all Municipal values, by the way, as well, that lead to whatever the motion and the momentum to reach a vision. And he wanted to really pass that along to folks. And so did I, and so did Lev, and so does the team here. And, we always say, sitting around here, like, there's no better person than Mark to be the biggest megaphone for us. But I think if you see what our brand's up to, on our website and social, that it's more than just Mark. We're trying to build a whole community of folks that are believing in these same things.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, you even go on your website, like it's not even on the front page of the website.
Yeah, you really wouldn't know right in front of your face that Mark is one of the owners, because we want to build a community, not just, a Mark fan page.
I hear you, man. I think you're doing a great job.
Again, we're still here, Conor. We're still doing it.
Me too.
We're still doing it. Yeah, we're trying to live the values that we are telling people are the important things to live a substantive life, and to reach whatever that version of success is that people have out there, whether it's be a better husband, better father, better wife, better mother, better at work, better in your relationships. And obviously, of course, with Mark, we believe that it starts with being active and having a healthy life. And you can do all that and still look awesome. What's that?
How's your fitness right now?
I've done 3 things, I think, that have armed me to get through this quarantine. Do you want me to tell you what they are?
Did you get ripped?
Number 1, I've worked a lot, but that's just because I've had to.
Well, number 2, CEO of the company, man. Like, come on.
Number 2, yes, I've definitely have a pretty rigorous fitness routine workout.
Let me hear it. I would love to hear it.
I'll tell you. And then number 3 is I've done my best to eat my way through the quarantine too. So all of the working out has been required because I've been eating, at least early on, everything in sight. So I work out. I'm one of those weird people that I actually will work out 7 days a week. So I don't take any off days. Yeah. So, but I'm going to say that the reason I do that is not because I'm a freak. If you saw me, I don't look like Mark, obviously. It is the only way that I've found that really regulates my brain chemistry.
My boy.
Yeah. So like, I'm not setting any cardio records when I'm on my cardio days, but I do it because if I don't do it, I really can feel the profound effects on my positivity and my moods when I don't. So
Absolutely.
so that's the reason. So it's not, but I'll do, and one of the nice things about having, in the building I'm in is we have a gym that's connected right to the building. It's basically been my private gym because nobody comes in every day anymore. So I'm in there 3 days a week, and then I'm doing cardio 4 days a week.
What does your cardio constitute of?
I do 3 things. I run. So, and the reason I like to run, it's the only cardio I do that I truly feel like every single time gives me an endorphin release.
Absolutely. And Harry, let me cut you off real quick. For the hyperactive mind, it's the closest thing you can get to meditation, literally.
Yeah, I mean, can I get an amen? Because I'm with you. And you know, and my happy zone is like from minute 20 to 45. Like I'm miserable to minute 20. From 20 to 45, I'm in my happy zone, and that's you know, it's the only thing that releases endorphins for me is that. And then we have an elliptical that at our house, which we bought like 10 years ago, which I use also. And I'll do that on days when I don't feel like running, if my body's a little tired or a little sore. And then we have a Peloton, which I am on not as much as my wife. I'm on that maybe once every 2 or 3 weeks. And that's the same thing if I'm bored with the elliptical. Because let me tell you, there's no more boring cardio exercise than the elliptical. Do you believe that or no? Is there one more?
I disagree. There's that machine that you can hold that you just like go like this. You know what I'm talking about?
Climber?
Yeah, that thing's wow.
Does anyone do that though for like 30 minutes? That's hardcore.
I saw an 86-year-old woman whipping it today.
So I'd like to run. So if mostly I'm running, 85% of the time I'm running.
What are you doing for distance on your runs?
I don't really do distance, but I meaning I don't really keep track. It's more time, but I'll do 5 miles in 45 minutes. So I'm not setting any land speed records. I'm doing.
Have you ever tried to push your distance a little bit?
Well, for me, it kind of works in staircases. So my next move would be to do like an hour on top of 45. And I would love to get to a place where I could consistently do 6-7 miles 4 times a week. But that's, even just saying it feels daunting to me. So I'm usually like 5 miles.
Harry, let me tell you something. There is you're in an incredible spot when it comes to cardiovascular endurance, because I started running last June in quarantine, and you're at a spot where you can consistently push your distance. And what I recommend you do is one day, just go out for a run and just say, okay, I'm just going to push past that 5 mile and I'm going to try to go for about 8. Just keep your legs moving. I swear to God.
Really?
Yep. And you'll get it. Just mentally lock in. I'm just going to keep my legs moving. You'll get to 8 miles and you're going to have one of the most incredible feelings ever. You're going to be like, wow, I had placed this limit on myself and now I'm at 8 miles. Shit, I want to go for 10 next. I swear to God, it's addicting.
Yeah, no, I totally believe that. It's a mental barrier much more than the physical, because I don't, after now I've been running enough where I'm not sore the next day. I'm not, my legs are still pretty fresh the next day. So it's definitely more mental than physical.
You got to go for a big one.
All right, next time we talk, I'll have given that a try.
Now, do you have Strava, the app?
No, I'm writing that down though.
Strava is a great running app. You'll love it.
Okay. Just like it sounds, Strava.
Exactly.
Okay.
All right, man. Well, hey, dude, I don't want to hold you too long. I had an awesome time.
Thanks, Connor. Thanks for having me on.
Now,
Appreciate it.
Oh, Lexi, let me get your question off.
Yeah, sure. I just want to know, why should women care about the brand?
Well, interestingly, Lexi, 20% of our customers have been women. So we have elements of our line that are definitely unisex, whether they're hoodies or sweatpants or headwear. And so those are, I think, people that are buying for themselves. The other part, I think, is that they're buying for the men in their lives, because they know that our stuff makes any guy look and feel great. So it's been a great gift for the women, and eventually towards the end of this year, we will have a women's segment that's designed specifically for women.
Nice.
A lot of women out there, like the guys in their life, look like slobs. When they dress comfortable, they look horrible, or when they try to dress up, they're not comfortable. So we definitely satisfy both of those things. You look and feel great, and you don't look like a slob.
Harry, I thought you made an impeccable pitch for your brand today.
Did I?
I thought you did great.
So we can do it again if you want.
Yeah, absolutely, man. When next time
Roll
you
it back.
for sure. And
Thanks for having me, and thanks for thinking of us. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely, and thank you to Rihanna for setting it up. But we end our show with 2 bits. Are you
Let's hear
ready?
it. Let's go.
Number 1, as I had said, I'm making a huge movie in Boston right now.
Mhm.
Huge. It's actually not huge. It's about half the size of a real movie. It's about 44 minutes.
VFX.
But all I ask is when I finish this movie and I send it to you, you sit back with your wife and you just enjoy it for 44 minutes, man.
Oh, we'll do it. Of
Please
course.
do. And if you like it, send it to Mark. Be like, hey, look,
There's no better time to be making content than right now. Everybody needs new stuff to watch.
Not in Boston. It's absolutely freezing here. It's incredibly hard to produce stuff here. I don't know how they do it. Anyway, man, if you enjoy it,
Yeah, I'll share it.
Send it
I'll
to
pass
that
it
guy.
along.
Send it to that guy, Lev, too. Say, look,
I will.
stud.
Those
Look
are the
at this
guys.
stud. And that guy, Mark.
Yeah,
Idol.
absolutely.
Thank you, man. Now,
right.
The second bit is this how we start and end the show? You say hi. I'm only going to say it once, Harry.
Okay.
You
I'm a
say
good
hi,
learner.
your name, and this is my golden hour. Directly after, no break. Hi, your name, and that was my golden hour.
Wait, I say hi, my own name. This is the golden hour. Then I say hi, my own name. That was the golden hour.
I don't know, man. I can only tell you once. Just give it a
Okay,
try,
this
man.
is like a weird drinking game. That's weird that I would say my own name, though, isn't it? That's why it's a drinking game. Hi, Harry Arnett. This is the golden hour. Hi, Harry Arnett. That was the golden hour. Did I do that right, or am I drinking?
Terribly executed.
Oh, that's what I thought.
We'll do one more time. Hi.
Okay, say it again.
Hi. I'm blank, your name. And this is my golden hour.
Oh, my golden hour.
Directly after.
Okay.
I'm blank. And that was my golden hour. So it's this is
Got
and
it.
it's that was.
Okay. Hi, I'm Harry Arnett. This is my golden hour. Hi, I'm Harry Arnett. That was my golden hour. Nailed it.
Killed it.
Nailed it. Nailed
Hey,
it.
you're awesome, man. Thank you very much. And
Thanks, Connor. Appreciate you having me.
I'm gonna get your office info. I'm gonna send you guys some new t-shirts.
Awesome. Love it. Thank you.